Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is very serious, so I'm not going to do the whole, oh, world's worst YouTuber thing, and I'm not coming to you as Jaquel, I'm coming to you as Aaron. And honestly, I don't know how to go about talking about this video, but even though I have a very small platform, I still feel that even so, I have a platform, so I should say something. And that is, George Floyd was murdered by a police officer in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And, you know, I'm not sure what exactly to say because everything's been said 1,000 times. However, to follow up, I would like to say, Black Lives Matter. And if that bothers you, if this stance bothers you, I'm going to give you two options. I'm going to ask you to unsubscribe, or I'm going to ask you to sit and listen to this video. I'm not coming at you. I'm not trying to be confrontational. I'm just offering my point of view on it as a white person. Because let's face it, I'm white. I'm also Native American. But that's not the point. I was raised white by white people. I wasn't raised Native American. I learned Native American culture later on in my life. But my upbringing is still white. So let's just get a few basics out of the way. My point of view when people say all lives matter in response to Black Lives Matter. How do I want to put it? By saying all lives matter, it's sort of like going to a Susan G. Komen marathon or race, a walk for breast cancer, and then going up to these people and saying, well, all cancers matter. Well, yeah, but that's not really the fucking point now, is it? The fact of the matter is that people are dying. And people aren't talking about it. And as a result, people are protesting, and in some places they are or have been rioting. That doesn't mean that I condone rioting and looting, but at the same time there are a lot of sources saying that it's not just black people who are doing the rioting. A lot of things have been actually instigated by police or random people, including white people, who have been instigating riots. And the problem that we're facing here is that for years, people have been protesting peacefully. When Colin Kaepernick, I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name, when he took a knee instead of standing for the national anthem, he did everything right. He asked a veteran how to do it respectfully. So that's why he decided to take a knee instead of just sit out. And people threw a fit about that, even to the point of people throwing out and burning their Nike items because they sponsored Colin Kaepernick. And George Floyd is far from the first. There is a literal list of people that it might make me look like an asshole, but it's also proof that I don't even remember the list of names of all of the black people who have been killed due to police brutality. And now that there are people protesting, the response to that is more police brutality? I don't fucking get that. It has escalated to such a point that now police forces are being militarized and instigating riots. And even if they're not instigating riots, there are countless accounts, not from the media, but from people on the lines protesting all over the country, that police in certain cities are corralling protesters, such as, don't quote me on it, I forget which city it was in, but they were escorted down a bridge. And then at the end of the bridge, they were met by police. So when they turned around, they were boxed in by police. Or in other cities where this happened in an alleyway or an enclosed street of some sort, where the police are systematically and strategically attacking protesters. And right alongside them is the National Guard. And even if the National Guard isn't doing anything, they're still sort of like the big watchdog sitting there saying, nope, you're going to have to just deal with it because the military has their back. Police and National Guard are firing on medical tents, which is a war crime. They're using tear gas, which is a chemical weapon that is banned in warfare. The police and the National Guard are using this on their own citizens. And that's hardly the point. The point is that this is the response that we are getting when we are rallying and protesting police brutality. We are standing in alliance with Black Lives Matter and speaking up against systemic racism. And this is the response we're getting. When years on end of peaceful protests did not go the way it should have, and now we're here. And this is what happens when you say Black Lives Matter, and then you take to the streets to peacefully protest and enforce that belief to say Black Lives Matter. Now the police and the military are discouraging and even violently assaulting U.S. citizens for standing by that. In conjunction with that, there's a lot of talk about defund the police. For those who aren't aware, defund the police is a very broad statement. Defund the police doesn't necessarily mean quit funding the police. It means let's take the $1.5 million to $2 billion taxpayer annual income to the police force and reallocate that into other programs and help build different, different people and different sources to approach a situation. Why do you need a gun and a badge to come to a mental health check or a wellness check? Why do you need a badge and a gun for some of the things that the police are handled to do or expected and required to do? It doesn't mean get rid of the police. It means let's curb some of that money, give only what the police need to the police, and let's do something else with that money that's more productive and more beneficial to our citizens. The people who are in need and the people that would need to call 911, now their only option isn't a badge and a gun. There are also other similar tenets in this same sort of mindset that includes ACAB or ACAB, or you'll see the letters 1312, which is ACAB. A lot of people think that means all cops are bad. That's not the case. Some people might mean it that way, but that's not what the majority of people want it to mean. What it means is, even if you are a good person, as soon as you put on that badge, you are a police officer, and you are upholding laws built by a system that is corrupt and bastardized. And whether you are a good person or not, you're upholding that law that supports and upholds systemic racism, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. However, this is the subject we're talking about, is systemic racism and police brutality on minorities, particularly African American people. So that doesn't mean that there aren't good cops, but cops are still cops, and they still uphold a law that the slogan is supposed to be serve and protect. But what is it that the police force is actually serving and protecting. I have met very good officers who have helped me in very many situations. I've also heard of countless stories where police officers tried to do the right thing, tried to report on their co-workers, their fellow officers, or tried to speak up, and they were either killed, bullied, or in some way pushed out of their precinct. And then that reputation of being this, that, the other negative thing followed them, and they couldn't find a job at another precinct because they tried to speak up against other officers doing fucked up shit. So even if you are a good person, that doesn't mean that the police force is good for us the way that it stands. That doesn't mean that I think that we should get rid of the police force. I think we need to seriously reevaluate what the police force does and the laws that they uphold, and realize that the way that it's set up, the police aren't in our best interest, especially if you're a person of color, especially if you're black. Now, there are countless other arguments and there are countless other points of view that even if you are well-intended, it doesn't mean that you hold the right opinion. Even if you mean well, you can still be accidentally racist. And this is something that I struggled with for a long time. I'm not going to freely give out my information, but on other social media platforms, I have said some really stupid shit that was really ignorant. And honestly, I have gone back through Facebook or whatever other outlet that I've had, and I've gone to delete those things, not because I'm trying to cover it up, but because it does not uphold what I believe, because now I realize I was very fucking wrong. My point is, I was in that position where I didn't think I was racist, and I am not going to say that I am racist in the sense of, oh, you're black or you're Mexican, so I dislike you. But there are societal prejudices that are built into us. Like, how many times have you clutched your purse or averted your eyes or tensed up when you walked down the street and walked past a black person? That's not your fault, but it doesn't mean that this isn't part of the system that we live in that keeps minorities oppressed. And if you are offended by this, from one white person to another, that doesn't mean you need to beat yourself up, but listen to what other white people are saying, and especially, above all, what black people are saying right now, what the African American community is saying right now about this. Because by saying things that, even though you mean well, things like, oh, I don't see color, you're meaning well. You're saying that you're not judging them based on their skin color, but the inverse of that is you're also accidentally saying to them that you're not seeing their struggles. You're not seeing the oppression that they face. You're not seeing the racism that they have to put up with. You're saying that you're not seeing their culture and who they are as a people separate from you. That being said, since I'm white, there may have been things in this video that I didn't get right, that I didn't understand, and that I am still ignorant on. Like, I've heard a lot of discussion about whether or not black people want to be called black or African American. So please correct me on any of these things, and if I need to, I will go back and make a second video and correct myself. Please educate me so I know what's going on. It's just like all the other white people, even though I'm an ally, I consider myself an ally. Those things are still built into me from the way that I was raised and the culture that I was brought up in, that even though I didn't realize it, I'm just flat out wrong. So, if I've said anything wrong, please correct me. I'd like to know. And on that note, to all of the other white people who are probably seeing this, don't take my word for it. I want to use this as a jumping point to invite you to listen to black people. I want you to go out and seek content creators of color to get their point of view on these matters and listen to them. And try to take it as you aren't being personally attacked just by educating yourself, but you have to listen to the pain and outrage of the black community, and you just kind of have to deal with it to understand what is wrong, what the problem is, and get their perspective on it. I'm not black. I only understand from my limited point of view. So that's why I'm going to urge anybody who is not black, especially white people, to go listen to black people about black issues, because I don't get it either. This is me urging you to go listen to people who are better qualified to this, because I can almost guarantee I still got something wrong in this video, and I'm still not properly holding the views correctly and translating it. So if I was wrong, I am certain there was something I was wrong about. So I'm asking everybody to either correct me if I am wrong. I would love to be educated. Or I want you, my fellow white friends, to go out and listen to what the black community has to say. And if you're still here and you still didn't like where this video was going, I'm grateful that you're here. If you still don't like what I had to say, please feel free to unfollow. And I'm sorry that it had to be that way. But I also don't want to invite racist mentality and negativity into my comments and onto future videos. And if you're going to get confrontational with me, if you're going to tell me that I am wrong and uphold other racist ideas and try to say that I'm just full of shit, then fuck you too. And that is directed at my fellow white friends. Because if you're not black, you don't know about black issues. I'm white. I'm not black. I don't know about black issues. All I can give you is my point of view and my understanding, and continue to urge you to seek out content creators of color and just educate yourself. That's all I'm asking. Because the things that are going on in our world today, specifically in our country, is beyond fucked up. Think about it this way. The Amish came out of nowhere. Anonymous came out of retirement. The witches came out and on the full moon did mass hexes, jinxes, and curses, as well as protections and banishings, bindings, all kinds of stuff. They are in complete allyship. Well, not all witches, some witches aren't, but a large majority of the people that I have seen are definitely on the side of allyship. And on top of that, Christians were asking other Christians to pray for the protection of the witches who were doing this mass hexing, banishing, protecting on the full moon. That is huge, and it is ridiculous that we can agree on something to ignore thousands of years of bitter hatred and animosity to come together for a common goal. You gotta realize how big of an issue this is if you still don't get it. There are Black Lives Matter protests all across the world. Just to name a few, I'm pretty sure there were some in Australia, in the United Kingdom, in Ireland, and that's just to name a few. Some of the other big countries are also having Black Lives Matter protests in solidarity and unity, and also to address the wrongdoings and oppression in their countries, because this isn't just America. What is the problem is that the police forces are fighting protesters, and they are being backed by the National Guard. That shows me how serious of a problem this is in America right now, that we need to not forget this, and we need to not accept that this is over, and we need to keep pushing, and we need to keep spreading awareness, and to continue educating each other, and to call each other out if we're on some bullshit. And that's just where I'm going to leave it off. Feel free to correct me if I was wrong, but if those corrections are going to uphold negative racist ideas, I want nothing to do with it. I'm not even going to acknowledge it. And if you persist the issue, I'm just probably going to block you or something. I don't know. I just don't want to deal with it. This is my point of view. This is how I see things. And if I need to be corrected, I will let myself be corrected. I just wanted to say things, and maybe it might seem a little late, especially since I've been absent for like a month or two at this point. Regardless, I felt it was also necessary to say at such a point where some of the media has died down to remind people this is still a very serious issue and we need to not stop talking about it. To finish this off, I'm going to leave some links in the description if you want to donate or help spread awareness. If you want to donate to any of the funds that I put in here, I'm not sure which ones that I have specifically off the top of my head. Go check them out. If you want to donate money, that's going to be one of the biggest helps that we can offer to the movement is donations. So please go check those links out. And until next time, much love. Peace out. Namaste and goodbye.